Cheers, everybody. Welcome back. And this video is, you might want to click off this video. I gotta be honest with you guys. This is going to piss some people off, probably. If I really share what I truly believe, a lot of people that follow this kind of corner of the internet where you're talking about energy, you're talking about spirituality, you're talking about manifesting, you're talking about these things that a lot of people look at this stuff and they're like, what are you guys talking about? A lot of people are like, oh, this is BS. And I've even gotten comments on this recently, and I totally understand where that's coming from. Because I think that there's a lot of people in this space that just take things way too dogmatically. And what I mean by that is, I've talked about this many times, but let's say you latch on to one particular thing that you've heard one teacher say, like for example with Neville. People latch on to that you don't have to lift a finger. And the idea of taking no action, right? People take that and they kind of make this entire kind of viewpoint on influencing the world around you. They take that as the foundational piece, right? Whereas that is just one line in a context of an entire book that was written by a man, which is what Neville is. He's not like some sort of deity that came down from the heavens. I mean, we all came down from the heavens, let's be honest. But it's not like Neville was just a normal person, just like we are, right? And for his time, and there's even been there's an interview where he was interviewed and he was saying, yeah, like a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about, I'm talking about it in this way, in metaphors, and it's not actually completely literal what I'm saying in these things. And so, you can listen to something, and this is what I've spoken about this as well before. This is why I like talking about so many different topics, guys. When you open your mind, when you are, you have you're a truth seeker and you just want to learn. Something that I've learned about in psychology is this tendency, because when you're learning things, you begin to see how they apply to all these different areas in life. But the psychology thing, people tend to want to be very absolutist in their thinking. They want to see something as black or as white. You see this in politics all the time. It's like, it's funny, really funny that what's happened, I'm not going to even go into it or even talk about it, but the situation with Trump, that the attempt on his life, whatever you want to think about it. And I really didn't even want to take this conversation to this direction, but it's crazy that this happened right now, because it's a prime example of the division that's been cast in this country. I'm talking about the USA, is a prime example of, okay, we're on this side, let's demonize the other side. We're on this side, let's demonize the other side. And you see this happen, right? It's an unfortunate part of human, like the human psychology, and it's just a part of our nature, I suppose. And you see that same thing being played out with these lines of thinking, with ideologies, right? The ideology of, oh, it's all spiritual stuff. I'm just going to sit here on the couch and manifest my entire life, right? Versus the working hard approach and the people on this side that are like, oh yeah, you just have to work hard, 12-hour work days, time management, productivity. And the reality is that both are true. That's what I want to impart, is both things can be true at the same time, or that maybe the path is somewhat a mix of both, or somewhere in the middle, right? And I truly believe that there are certain things. We've been born into this planet as physical beings, right? And in this plane, there are certain physical laws, certain physical principles. And part of the universal principle is that of polarity, the principle of rhythm. No matter how much you want to say or think or believe one certain thing, these laws are at play, right? So For example, if you want to sit around and just claim into being that, fall doesn't exist, or like it's just summertime all the time. Well, on one hand, you could be like, oh yeah, well that actually is kind of true, because you can just travel from California to Australia and then it'll be summer the whole time. Okay, that's fine, right? But the idea being that there still are cycles and seasons here. We still experience winter, we still experience fall, we still experience spring. Just you imagining that that's not true doesn't change the fact that that's true. Okay, you can say that cold doesn't exist, but it doesn't change the fact that when you go into an Arctic climate, you're going to feel a sensation and you're going to start shivering, right? You're going to be exposed to the cold. Certain people have developed, to various degrees, ways to mitigate against that, like Wim Hof and his breathing techniques and regulating your nervous system. And so there's definitely things that can be done, but the idea being that certain things, like if you want to just live an empowered life, the reason that we're here is to live as these physical beings as well. We're not supposed to just be these. If that was the case, then we'd just be still up in the etheric plane, right? If that's all that there is. The reason that we're here is to meet the physical and the metaphysical. And so when you want to, leave comments on this channel saying, oh, either you believe in manifesting or you don't. Either it's this way or it's that way. It's like, nah, it's not. It's there's nuance to it. And, if you don't agree, feel free to, you don't have to follow me. You don't have to watch these videos. I'm going to share my truth, and I'm going to share what it is that I believe in, what resonates for me, and what my intuitive and the downloads that I get, because I go through phases of this, but I receive little bouts of intuition. I receive messages, and when people talk about channeling and whatever, some people say that they're channels and all this stuff. I don't know. What I can say, my personal experience with that is that when I'm in a flow state, when I'm in a creative state, oftentimes it's been through music or sort of thing. When I'm doing something creative, I can attest to that. That it's like you feel like you're just receiving this information, right? So some of the stuff I share with you guys on this channel is me receiving what I feel called to present here. And so I'm not going to just not do that. I'm not going to just not listen and just be like, oh yeah, well, this is like what other people are saying, so I'm going to present the same information. I'm going to present to you what makes sense to me and what I found to be true in my life. And anybody that's achieved success in this world, if you want to go and be a monk and meditate on the top of a mountain and just sit there like this the whole time and, imagine the wish fulfilled or whatever, you can try that and let me know how it goes. I'd be curious. But I think if you ask anybody that's achieved any sort of worldly success, whether it's money, whether it is great relationships, great friendships, great circles of friends, great lifestyle, achievements, feats of athleticism, any of these things that are worldly achievements, if you want to live and be of this world as well, and actually embrace the physical experience while you're on this planet, they're gonna tell you point blank period that yeah, we took action, yeah, we did this, yeah, we did that. And that's part of embodying it. It's part of being it. I've listened to a lot of teachers in this space as well. I was just listening to a video by Elmer O'Locker, who is, he's got a phenomenally big channel now that's grown so much, especially from where he came from. I mean, that guy was in prison for 10 years of his life. According to him, that's what he was in prison. As soon as he got out, he started making, videos and sharing this stuff, and his father knew Neville and all this stuff, but he has his own way of describing things. And every single person that has done this or that is in this space that's actually changing their life and getting change for other people, he was talking about like how disciplining and physical fitness can be such a good way to discipline the mind and be able to, embody that new version of yourself. But like literally every single person that I know, whether it's Lucy, whether it's him, whether it's Dylan James, and there's so many different people in this space, Sammy Ingram, even if they want to say one thing, in the same breath, they're over there taking action, right? So it's just, I'm so tired of like, it has to be like this or it has to be like this. If you don't resonate with the way that I present information, then you can watch another channel. But what all I'm offering here is the ability to see the shades of gray in between. And I think that when we're building skills, it is important to, let's say that we're going to a coach for learning. I use this allegory a lot, but tennis, right? We're going to want to like do exactly as they say, do the forehand, complete it exactly as they do. Eventually, though, when we're in a match, we're going to have to begin to trust ourselves. We're going to have to begin to rely on our own intuitions, what works for us. And even if they have a certain style or a swing, if we know that like whipping our wrist a certain way like this, or, this sort of stance is helping us achieve what we want, we might develop a different serving technique than the one that our coach prefers, right? It's like there's different steps. So I understand why a lot of you that watch this stuff get very caught up in like, it has to be like this, because you've listened to somebody, you've listened to one coach or one point of view that has told you this is the way that it is. And a lot of the times that's also, that's also, speaking in absolutes is also another way to be persuasive. And, if you're open to other ideas than just manifesting, you would know that when you speak in absolutes, when you speak with that authoritative conviction, that's a lot more persuasive and going to be a lot more influential to the people that you're speaking to. So it is helpful sometimes for somebody like Neville to say, oh, it's the wish fulfilled, or for that coach you're listening to be like, it's this way, like this is it, right? This is the one and true key thing that you need to know, right? Well, the reality of it is that there is more to it than that. This might be, and that might be true for that person in that way, or that might be a certain thing that they've been able to achieve by doing it that way. But you're not going to know until you do it yourself. And what I know from doing this stuff myself is that taking aligned action, like Lucy talks about this all the time. There's a lot of coaches on here that talk about the things that the people in these Reddit communities and the people that are just very dogmatic with Neville all day long miss out on. And there's other teachers as well in this space that teach reality creation, manifestation, such as Frederick Dodson, such as Vadim Zeland, such as Maxwell Maltz, and many, many others. I could go on and on, that advocate for taking action, that advocate for many other things and are bringing many more layers and realistic, actionable, practical advice to what you're doing, rather than just wanting something to be one way so hard that you end up rejecting everything else. And another thing is, people, this is an example, right? Another example is like, people will always be like, it is what it is. Like, reality is just how you want it. Things are always just going to be good, like forever. If that's your reality, then things are going to be good forever. Okay, you can put that out there. Don't get me wrong. I would love it if things were good forever. The reality is, though, look at your life. Look at the situations that you've been in. If you've been triggered recently, was that a good situation? Was that a happy situation? Okay, you can go and revise it, and you can go and imagine it, and go and do those things if that's your prerogative. If that's what you feel like doing, that's one way of doing it. Another way, though, is looking at, wow, this was a shitty situation, right? Or this was a tough situation. Well, you know what? I've asked the universe to make me stronger. I've asked for strength. That's why they brought this situation to me. So that's another way to reframe it. That's like, I went through this situation, whether it's like, going through this stressful job situation, going through a stressful breakup, going through a stressful situation where you're trying to build your business and you're running into roadblocks and obstacles and it's tough out here. You can embrace that and be like, yeah, it has been tough, but that is also carving me and forging me into that person that I'm becoming, into the greatest version of myself. It's not easy lifting that, going for that new PR on bench press. You can say that. That's one angle. That's one approach, right? But this is just going to show you that it's not one approach for every single thing. You could choose. You can be dynamic with how you work with your mind. If you're going through something and it doesn't feel right to reject it and be like, oh no, this is good, I'm gonna revise it. You can be like, yeah, that was fucked. And this is how it's gonna make me better. And this is how this is actually working in my favor anyway, right? And it's whatever, I know that just by the sheer fact of anybody that's putting out content, there's always gonna be people that have things to say. And that's all well and good. I understand that that's part of the deal. I just really would encourage a lot of us to begin to see those shades of gray in between things, and begin, once we take in the information from a coach or from something that we're learning, eventually that information has to pass through our own filtration system to say, is this relevant? Is this useful to me or not? Does this make sense or not, right? And then from there, we can take what works, take what doesn't work, and apply it in our own lives, because that's the goal of this stuff, right? The goal is to actually get results. It's actually to get action. So if you're wanting results, if you're coming at this from a results-based oriented space, which is where I come from, then be open-minded. Be open-minded to doing things, to embodying things. And when I talk to DJ, who's really big into the metaphysics, he says that this is what it is. It's like this alchemical process. When you embody what it is that you want, aka do and be and have the things that you want in your mind, but also in your reality, then you're going to experience more of that. And there's another book called The Winner Effect, but it's like if you stack up these small wins, it could be something even as simple as organizing your room or doing this or doing that or sticking to what you said you were going to do. Let's say that you said you were going to post a video, or write a script, or you were going to go to the gym, right? Well, you start stacking these wins. Now you're building that integrity with yourself. You're building that conviction, that self-belief that you have, and that trust with yourself. And ultimately, that's what we need to do. We need to, this journey of manifesting things in our external environment is really a journey within. It's really a journey of mastering ourself, mastering our emotions, mastering our internal dialogue, which is why I'm so big on the robotic affirmations. And because ultimately that mastery, that self-mastery that they talk about in Stoicism, that they talk about where it's like master over your emotions, what does that mean? It means that we're not getting so triggered all the time from our external environment. It means that we are, and you know, if you are getting triggered by manifesting content, check yourself, because you shouldn't be getting triggered by it. You should be allowing it to come through. And again, it's like select it, don't select it. Like, does this make sense or no? But me, look at me. I'm not on here like commenting on people's, like, there's people that I disagree with, but I'm not on here commenting on their videos like, oh, this is wrong. It's like, look, if it works for them, that's great. I'm gonna use what works for me. I'm gonna share what works for me, because that is what I'm doing here. That's what my goal is here on this channel. And with that being said, you know, embrace everything that works, reject what doesn't. But I really think that this nuanced thinking, you know, if you always are shifting things and reframing things in your mind, it doesn't have to be a one size fits all. I don't really resonate with everything's happy all the time. Yeah, you can say that, you can feel that, and you can really, probably there's people that works for. I'm not gonna lie and say that it doesn't, but what I resonate with the universal laws. I resonate with the principle of rhythm. I resonate because that's been my life experience, that yeah, sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days. Okay, why not just accept it for what is? Yes, hot exists, cold exists. Do I really want to be out here like claiming that those things don't exist? I'm just making life harder for myself. I'm just making, if I want to just be a successful person in this 3D realm, then accepting a lot of truths about life as they are in the physical world is going to be helpful to me, while also accepting the metaphysical component. Rejecting the physical is not really going to help you on the path towards your physical goals, is what I'm saying. It's somewhere in the middle. It's not rejecting the metaphysical either though. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's both at the same time. Both can be true at once. The other thing about this notion of avoiding work or avoiding physical action or whatever you want to, you know, however you want to entertain that idea, but once you embody that version of yourself, you're going to want to do the work. You're going to, and you can make it easier for yourself. It's still going to take time. It's still going to take action. It's still going to take thought, but it can definitely become easier. It's all about your mindset and how you perceive it. For example, like me recording videos, you know, it can be, you can look at it as like a daunting task, or you can be like, yo, I'm excited to record this video right now. The same thing even goes to other things, right? If I need to write something up, or if I need to send some emails, or reach out to clients, or go check on my house, you know, the renovation project. It's all about, you know, are you embracing where you're at on the journey? Are you enjoying the process? Are you process oriented rather than outcome oriented? And there's one example that when I was watching this video by Elmer Olacher, he gave for the gym, which is like, when you are on there doing like an incline bench press or whatever, you're just imagining that you are that version of yourself that can lift like 2 plates on either side. Or you imagine that when you have 2 plates on both sides, that there's just 1 plate on each side, right? And that's how you can, what he calls like, he uses the word the simulation, that we're in a like holographic universe, like it's a hologram, and so it's just us pushed out. It's what we believe, and that I agree with that, right? So again, there's shades of gray here, but that's going to work. That's going to help. But again, within reason. And he brings that to attention too. He's like, you don't want to injure yourself too, right? You have to keep things in mind. We're working with the spiritual, we're working with the metaphysical, with the ethereal, and we're also working with the physical. So it's like, don't reject the physical, guys. The physical is going to help you. And if you dedicate, if you build a strong body, if you're in the gym, if you're eating healthy, you know, you can't just, you can decide I'm going to be a breatharian or a fruitarian or whatever. A lot of people that have done that have come back and said, oh, I actually developed all these health problems, or I had all these health issues from doing that. So it's a fine line that you want to walk with this stuff. It's what is going to work for you, you know? You could sit there and think that I'm going to eat Twinkies all day long and feel like $1,000,000, but the reality of that situation is your body's simply not getting enough nutrients and you're overloading it with sugar and things that are going to give you brain fog, and right? I mean, we need some common sense, and we need to bring in this common sense to blend it with the metaphysical, blend the practical with the physical, and that's when we're going to really, really start supercharging our results that we see in life. Because now we're meeting both, and we're allowing both to work in our favor rather than having one fight the other, right? And it's the same thing I mentioned with like the political parties or whatever. It's like this division. When you're divided, you're conquerable. When you're united, you're strong. You have your physical and your mental, your emotional, your divine working in harmony with each other. That's what I want to bring to you guys with this video. That being said, guys, much love as always. Let me know your thoughts down below. And with that being said, drop us a like, hit me with a subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.